guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about a new can that I just got, the Dead Air Ghost. So let's jump into it. Alright, so first off, I apologize. This is my second time reshooting this video. I don't like to do that because it was supposed to be an unboxing overview, and I feel like it's not really genuine unless it's an actual unboxing. And now that I actually looked at it and did a video and realized my brain is somewhere else, and that whole video, I'm scrubbing that whole thing. So I apologize if my brain is a little bit scatterbrained today. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna try to just skip on, move on past that, and let's just get into this whole overview, not review, overview. All right. So the Dead Air Ghost M Modular, right? There are several videos of this thing out there, right? Several little short videos, people shooting stuff, several videos of people just talking about it and everything. And there's a couple really good videos. I plan to do an overview, that's what this video is going to be, and then an actual review later on, right? After I've actually shot the thing, gotten time with it, shot it on multiple things, I already said that, and hopefully answered questions that you guys might have in this video. So while I'm talking about what came with it, you know, show some different mounts and different things, if you are considering getting a 45 caliber can, right, or a Dead Air can, or whatever, if you're considering this can, if you could, think of anything that you might possibly want me to answer. Obviously, I can't answer them in this video because I'm doing it right now and you don't have enough time to respond. But if you think about questions while you're watching this video, post those questions down below if you will, and I will do my very best to either answer them in the comments, or specifically, if I can see them before I make the actual review, then I will be able to make sure I answer those questions and show a picture's worth 1,000 words, so a video's worth a whole lot more than that, as long as the words come out right, which I feel like I'm on the tail end of my sanity right now, and I'm about to lose my mind. Anyway, I hope you got that. I hope that made sense, all right? So let's jump into this. What comes in the box that everybody else has already said, and the review's been already done and beating a dead horse? Yeah, obviously you get your box. I do believe they have remade most of their boxes, because I got this can and another can in, another mask, a Dead Air mask, and their boxes are basically the same thing. I don't remember the mask coming in the same kind of box before, but anyway, whatever. The box is a box, looks like a coffin, but they got cool branding and everything. You get your little cigar wrapper thing, your little decal sticker. Who uses these? I want to know who uses these. They're cool. I'm a collector of things like this, but I don't really put them on much. I probably should. They doesn't come with a user manual. You get this little card with the QR thingy, which I think is awesome, because 99.9% of people nowadays have the capacity to QR scan this thing, or I think you can even go to their website, or you could request a hard copy. I guess, okay, so that makes sense. I think you could probably go to their website and get a copy, or it says you can just request a hard copy if you want to do that. That's information that nobody really cares about. That's why it's written in small print on that thing. The main attraction is the Dead Air Ghost, right? The modular 45 caliber can, right? It is, I'm not going to give all the specs and stuff. You can look that up on their website. But it's about 1.5 inches in diameter, I think. And it's a span long. There you go. There's your technical information for you. And it is lightweight. I was surprised by that. I'm not putting it on a scale. You can look that information up too. It is lightweight for, I think it's steel. Is it? I can't remember if it's steel baffles in the front or the rear section, however you look at it, and titanium tube, and then aluminum. But I know the baffles up here are aluminum, and I know the can is lightweight. It ain't heavy. It ain't heavy, that's for sure. It does come with a booster, does not come with a piston. Okay, something you need to keep in mind. Very important. This is, and we'll talk about this in a minute, uses and whatnot and stuff. This is a pistol-specific suppressor, okay? There's a couple variations of things that you can do, or how you can use it, setups that you can do to use it on some different things, but those are still pistol caliber, all right? This is not a heavy use like rifle can. In stark contrast, it is not the same as the Dead Air Wolfman. I almost said Ghost. The Dead Air Ghost is not the same as the Dead Air Wolfman. The Wolfman can handle a lot. It is way more of a tank than this guy, because they're made for different things. They're not, you're comparing apples and oranges here, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. This is a pistol can, okay? Since it is, we made such a huge deal of that. Since it is, it does come with a booster, because they know you're gonna run it on a pistol. That's what the purpose is, or that's what you should be running it on. Very important. This is not a heavy use like rifle can. This is not the same as the Dead Air Wolfman. The Wolfman can handle a lot. It is way more of a tank than this guy, because they're not, you're comparing apples and oranges here, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. This is a pistol can, okay? Since it is, we made such a huge deal of that. Since it is, it does come with a booster, because they know you're gonna run it on a pistol. That's what the purpose is, or that's what you should be running it on. and it doesn't come with a piston. The piston, I don't want to take this thing apart right now, but the piston, I like to use cam locks, right? So from Griffin Armament, I get a little Griffin Armament cam locks. I like them. There's some pros and cons to them. I'll make a whole nother video about that another time. I have never had any problems with them until this year, and I think that's just user error over time. And so I'm learning my lessons and stuff. They have great warranties and stuff, but I use the Dead Air, or not the Dead Air, the Griffin Armament piston, cam lock piston system, right? Now, that is very important to note. I like using that one because I can use basically the same piston on all my guns, right? All my pistols, right? I don't have to worry about one being half a 28, one being 5/8 per 24. I don't think any pistons are that. Or whatever your 45 cal stuff, 10 millimeter things. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that at all with cam lock system. That's why I do that. But if you're not using cam lock, you need to know what thread piston you need, right? So you can mount the suppressor to your pistol. Does that make sense? That's why they don't send you one. A lot of people will be like, well, you spend so much money on the thing, and well, they should give you a piston. Well, okay. Well, they'll probably give you a half a 28 piston, and maybe you're getting it for something else, and then you're like, well, they sent me the wrong piston. Okay, to avoid all that, they just don't send a piston. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal to me. But it does come with a booster, which is a big deal. Your end cap tool, right? This is the same as the mask, so that's kind of nice. The kind of redundancy there, so that's kind of nice. And one thing that I couldn't specify until I actually got this thing in hand, even looking at a silencer shop, that's where I got this thing from, even looking at their website, it didn't say it came with a wipeable end cap. And it does. It came with the wipe, and if you don't know what a wipe is, you can look that up. Rubber washer, basically. Conveniently, I think it's about the same size as a 1-inch. Is it a 1-inch or 3/4? I don't remember. Like a 1-inch washer thing from hardware store. Anyway, conveniently sized that way. But these are interesting because these can add an extra, take away several decibels and make the can a little bit quieter. It'll probably up your back pressure a little bit, kind of, but it should make the can a little bit quieter. That's kind of the idea of them. Some old school suppressors, this is what they use. They had a bunch of these things lined up basically, and it did a very good job suppressing, but these things wear out really fast. So, and there's some weird legality. You got to look it up. Know your laws, know your stuff. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to try to educate you on that. There's some weird stuff when it comes to these little pieces of rubber. You got to look that up. But it does come with one, so that is very nice. And it already came installed on the end cap, all right? That's most of the, I don't know if that's technical information. That's what comes in the box. It didn't come with any tools. I do have tools that came with, I can't remember which suppressor these ones came with, but Dead Air does have some good spanner wrench things, whatever, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't send them with this. I mean, you kind of need it to tighten up your booster, right? This thing. I don't know why they didn't send it. I don't know. I think also, and I haven't confirmed, and maybe I'll post up somewhere, because post the video, I'll check it. I think you can use a regular armor's wrench on this weird little booster housing thingy right here. I think you can use a regular armor's wrench, Air 15 armor's wrench, and I think that's why they didn't include these, because I don't think they made these back when they made the Ghost, right? So that makes sense to me. So anyway, enough of that kind of stuff. Let's take a look at this real quick on a couple different hosts, and then I'll kind of talk about why I got it, and then we'll shut up. We'll just keep it relatively short and simple, and we'll save the goody goods for the actual review. This is not a review. This is an overview. Big difference. Let's go ahead. Okay, this is a Glock 48, all right? And again, this is why I like cam lock, because there you go. There's no thread, all this crazy kind of stuff. It's just on there. And like I said, the weight of this can is significantly lighter than I anticipated, because I'm used to the Wolfman, which is about, isn't that about the same length? Well, actually, the Wolfman is smaller, but the Wolfman is dadgum heavier. This is, and it rightly so, it can handle a lot more than the Ghost, right? But the Ghost is a pistol can. You gotta keep purposes and specific things in mind, like what's the specific purpose of this can? Well, it's pistol stuff. It doesn't need to be steel. Anyway, that's that. So this is how this guy looks on here. I did, and it never shows up in camera. It never shows up in camera. I'll do it anyway, but it's probably never going to show up in camera. I have some Suarez International lower 1/3 iron sights. They are beautiful iron sights for getting a lower 1/3 co-witness on your red dots, on your pistols and stuff. I absolutely love it. They're fan-freaking-tastic. The problem some people would have with these is that this is basically directly in line with your suppressor. So even though these are kind of, I mean, they're lower 1/3 suppressor height sights, but they're not full suppressor height sights. So if you're the kind of person that has to have a clear, like absolutely no obstruction on your iron sights, then these sights wouldn't work for you on here, okay? The red dot, you can see the red dot clear as day over top, unobscured from the suppressor, okay? That's just something to note, depending on the size of your sights and everything. On the other side of things, I don't even remember who makes these, if they're Modular or whatnot. And again, I'm sorry, I probably won't even show up, but I'm just kind of doing my best in here. But these sights you can see. You can clearly get a sight picture, right? There you go. You can clearly get a picture of your iron sights unobscured across the top of your suppressor, right? So that is, for some people, a really big deal, so I figured it was worth mentioning. That's something to note. If you have regular, true, and I don't have my caliper, I do have my calipers. The calipers, hey, look at that. Battery's dead, of course. Well, whatever. If I did a little measurement, whatever, these things stand about, what is it, 3/10 of an inch? About, right? 3 something. Whereas the Suarez lower 1/3 are about 275, basically, right? So about 275 tall, or 2 3/4 of a tenth. I don't know my measurements, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Lower 1/3 is going to get you right in line with the suppressor, and then regular suppressor high sights are going to give you an actual sight picture. That probably made no sense, but it is what it is. The kicker, let's just kind of move on to some stuff. The kicker of why I got the suppressor is because I believe it's going to have it's going to do a much better job with having lower back pressure. Okay, and the kicker of getting it was whenever I picked up a Raider, right? And a Raider is a fun little chassis thing, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's terms and definitions and things that get thrown around all the time. But this is an awesome little setup. I really think it's cool. I think it's really cool, and it has some very specific niche applications to it. But one thing that's really cool about it is, it's really fun about it, is to shoot suppressed, except for one thing. It's very gassy. If you go sticking on this Wolfman, this thing will gas you out, right? And I even have the gas cap back here that's supposed to help block off as much gas as possible. And you got the sight all in the way and everything. It still pushes a bunch of gas back in your face, okay? So whenever I got this and I started running with my 9mm suppressors, super fun to shoot, but man, is it gassy. It got me to thinking, man, this is kind of the straw that broke the camel's back as far as the decision making on getting the Ghost, because the Ghost is a 45 caliber can, so hopefully, in theory, it will have less back pressure and still give me a pleasant, an acceptable, I think that's a word I've been looking for. I've been searching for that word all day. An acceptable noise reduction, right? Probably not going to be super quiet. I'm not expecting this thing to be super uber duper duper quiet, right? But I am expecting it to knock down the decibels to a relatively, acceptable level, and then keep from being extremely gassy. That's kind of the whole purpose of why I got this thing. And that might be the purpose of what some people want to get it for, really. I mean, sometimes a 9mm suppressor, well, it's just without really diving down massive rabbit holes and stuff, suppressors, there's not one thing you look at when you buy a suppressor. Some people, that's what they look for. One thing. Is this thing the quietest can out there? Okay, well, you can get some cans that are really, really, really quiet, right? But they're going to gas you out, meaning you shoot 4 or 5 rounds, your eyes are going to be watering, and you're going to be coughing because you got a bunch of gas in your face. Like, it's not very pleasant, but maybe that's really what you want. You're only going to shoot 1 or 2 shots, and you really don't care because it's just not that big a deal. Some people, they want a lot of flash reduction, right? Maybe they shoot at night a lot. Maybe they shoot in low light or whatever, or they are around combustible materials, right? In the law enforcement world, that's a big deal. You don't want a bunch of explosive flash coming out of your can, or out of your can or out of your gun, because you could light off a trailer. That's just not very good, right? So maybe flash is a bigger deal than noise, right? Because you're already going to have ear pro on, but you want to cut down that flash. So there's a bunch of different reasons to get cans and specific things that one can will do better than another can, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And again, going back to like pondering your, I'm picking your brain. I'm trying to stimulate some questions from you guys as far as what questions you might have about this, like how does it handle X, Y, Z kind of thing. Now, I don't have all the calibers in the world to shoot this thing on, and surprisingly enough, I don't even have a 45 to shoot this on. I got a buddy that has a 45, and he might let me borrow his gun to shoot this on it, or to shoot through this, however you're supposed to say that, because he was considering one of these. He ended up getting another can, so there might be a comparison down the road, but he's got a 45, so that would be very interesting to compare the 45, 9mm. I do have 40, I do have 10, so those would be some interesting things, especially the 10. The 10 is an interesting round to try to, you know, suppress. 40 can surprisingly do pretty stinking well. So those will be things that I will look at and evaluate, you know, and in the review I'll tell you all about it. But those are just some considerations and things of cans of like what's the purpose and everything. Now, given that this is a pistol specific can, we kind of already said that 1,000 times, it does come with the booster assembly, right? Not the piston, but the booster assembly. You also, since it uses this specific thread pattern, the dead air key, I don't know what, I don't remember which thread pattern it is, but it's the key micro pattern. I don't think that's the correct term. You can set this guy up with their 3 lugs, what I'm trying to say. So if you have, let's say, something that uses 3 lug, like hey, we haven't busted this guy up for a while. Here's the CZ Scorpion, right? Put that guy on there, looky there. Not rubbing up against the sides. It's only a 1.5 inch diameter can. Probably would sound halfway decent on here. This is a direct blowback, so maybe it'd sound really good. Maybe it would even sound better. This is again stuff I need to test out. Maybe it would even sound better than the 9mm than the Wolfman, because that back pressure. This is direct blowback. It's not a gas system. Direct blowback. So if you can keep most of those gases going out the barrel on the suppressor instead of holding it in here and then shoving it back in your face out the ejection port, that could be something to really consider, right? And you can see here the break, the line, right? To where if you had this guy in the short configuration, he'd just barely stick out, what's that, 1.5 inches or so? Whereas you have the full length configuration, obviously you get more sound suppression, but it's gonna be a little bit longer. So that's kind of cool that, I mean, that you can use the tri-lug. That's handy for certain things depending on what you're going for. Of course, since we have it here, why not take a look at it and see what it looks like on the MP5, right? In my eyes, that actually locks it nice and tight. Relatively tight, yeah. In my eyes, this, to me, looks better than, well, the wrong adapter on here, but basically it looks better than the Wolfman does, right? It's a little bit skinnier. It's not as thick as the Wolfman, but it kind of looks a little bit more streamlined, especially if you chop this guy off. Imagine this guy right there. I mean, I could take it off right now, but I'm not going to. But it looks a lot more streamlined. So it looks a lot more like what the Omega 9K would look like. The Omega 9K is even shorter. It's only like this long, but it's the 9mm can. It's a little bit thicker, I think, and it does a fantastic job. But this would be interesting to see on here what that's going to sound like. That's what it looks like, right? It actually works on there. And another thing, here we go. Here's a little 9mm PCC. Yep, sticks on there just fine. And no obstruction, obviously no obstruction of sights. I mean, if you had iron sights, no obstruction at all, you'd never even notice it there looking through, you know, a red dot or whatever. But that's kind of what that guy looks like. In the long configuration. Short configuration, I mean, just take a snapshot in your mind and cut off a fist's width or a fist's length. Well, it depends on which hand. If I use my left hand, yeah, that's about right. If I use my right hand, it's a little bit bigger. Ha! See, I can laugh at myself. All right, that is most of that. There's also the other one. This is the interesting thing too. So maybe it's something that, I don't know if it's super common. I honestly have no idea because I don't have any experience with this one yet. But the little chemo adapter, right? It's funny, the chemo adapter is thicker. I mean, look at that. The chemo adapter is thicker in diameter than the suppressor itself. That is kind of interesting, okay? Now, and I don't know what happened to my chemo mount, right? I have a chemo brake. I think it's a 1-port brake, and I can't for the life of me, I know I stuck it on a gun somewhere. I don't know which gun it's on right now, but what I do know is that the only gun that I have right now, oh, it's right here, it's on my prototype. Never mind. I can't show you that one. The only thing right now that it'll fit, except for that one, is this is the muzzle device. I think it's from JMac Custom, I think. I think that's who they are. And I think what's called the Zero, it's basically the chemo mount with nothing on it. It's just the mount. I mean, get this close to the camera, you can see that, right? Just the mount. No brake, no flash hider, no nothing, just a mount. So if you're trying to go as short as possible, hence the name Zero, then this guy will work, because you cannot be using a the flash hider. Even surprisingly, here's my little 11.5-inch gun. Even this little guy from Forward Control Designs, he's even too long. He won't attach on here. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, because that guy's usually pretty stinking short. But he wasn't wanting to attach on there. Let me try it one more time, because maybe this time in the video it'll work. But he wasn't earlier. Come on, where's the little lockup thingy? Nope, so he's almost there. It's not gonna show up, but if he could go back another 1/4 of an inch, if he could seat another 1/4 of an inch, then he'd go on. But he's not going on right now. And that's how I think you would break stuff, is if you force things. In the gun world, if you gotta force it, like if you're making something or whatever, don't force it, because you're probably gonna break it, right? Get some education on that. All right, anyway, since we're talking about this mount, I don't think it's such a big deal, because the only caliber that I'm aware of right now that I believe is safe to shoot out here is 300 Blackout subsonic. No 5.56, no 7.62x39, none of that stuff. That's not what this is for. So it doesn't really, you know, chafe me very much that, you know, that it doesn't fit a bunch of the mounts, because it shouldn't be shot on those calibers anyway. So it's mainly gonna be a pistol can, maybe a little bit sometimes with the tri-lug. And the tri-lug, that's just going on 9mm stuff. So I'm not really ticked about that in the slightest, right? It's just an interesting factoid to note. All right, and just in case somebody hasn't, if they're looking at these cans and they haven't actually seen what the can consists of and everything, I'm just gonna show you real quick. You have your end cap, all right, which is the wipeable end cap. I think I mentioned that earlier. I could not tell from Silencer Shop's website which end cap it came with. This is a wipeable end cap, right? And it comes with the wipe installed. I already took that thing out. Put that guy over here, got the stuff over there, right? And then you have this baffle that follows the end cap around. Every configuration, every 2 of the configurations, that end cap follows, that end baffle follows the end cap around, if that makes sense. You have your front modular, whatever fancy term you want to use. I think that's aluminum. If that's not aluminum, I don't know what, because that's extremely lightweight. And I do believe as well, these are aluminum. These are your little baffle stack of 4 baffles that go in that little extra modular to give you a little bit of extra decibel reduction, right? And then in your main stack, these are your, I think these ones are steel, and then I think the tube is titanium. I'm saying I think, fact check me if you want to, but I think that's why these things are as light as they are. And this, guys, is as durable as it is. I should really check that before I keep saying it and everything. But anyway, that's how this guy works, okay? Make sure these are put together properly. They kind of click into place. If you have these off and it's a little wobbly, it's just not gonna lock up right. And I don't know if you get baffle strikes or not, but it's just not gonna be locked up right. If everything's locked in there, it's gonna be nice and rigid and everything. If it's not locked in there, it's gonna be moving around. So it's relatively easy to know if you've got it in there right, okay? If you're gonna shoot it in a short configuration, right, then you just remove your big front modular part. You take your end cap or front cap technically, and that baffle, that last baffle, does not need to be oriented in any specific direction, except for obviously you do not go this way. You go this way, okay? Don't be that guy and whatever. Anyway, so screw this guy back down in there, nice and snug, and that's pretty much that's how you do it, right? That's this guy, and the short little configuration. Put your whatever you're gonna do. I mean, imagine that if you had the I don't have it out right now, but the Omega 9K is a little bit shorter than this, right? A little bit thicker than it, and honestly, that tri-lug doesn't add a whole lot of extra length. So that should, in theory, be a decent little setup, right? Anyway, guys, that is the quick, Not really. I probably lost most of y'all a long time ago. But that is my first little impressions and some kind of reasons why I went ahead and got the Ghost. All right, the Dead Air Ghost. 45 cal can, even though I'm not shooting 45 cal of it, I think it's going to be a good setup for its specific purposes for what I bought it for. Now, my question to you guys is this. During this whole word vomit session that I put on for you guys, if you thought of any questions as far as how does it work in this particular setup, or how does it work on this pistol, cycling, yada yada yada, whatever. If you thought of anything, please do let me know. If you ask the question before I actually do the review of this suppressor, then I will be sure to answer it in that video, right? So you can get a specific answer to your questions. If you think of it after I've posted the review and everything, then I'll do my best to answer the question, you know, in the comment section and all that kind of stuff. If any of you guys have one of these suppressors, I would love to get you guys' insight on it. It seems like it's a suppressor. It's been out there for a little while, right? And it seems to be very head-to-head with another suppressor company out there. Very, very head-to-head. People have both of them. People have a bunch of them. People have opinions and stuff. And that's what I want to know is you guys' opinion. Those people that actually have one of these, was it worth the squeeze, right? Was it worth getting it? And would you have gotten something else for your application? And what was your application? This is something that I find very interesting a lot. When it comes to guns and stuff, there is no one gun that does everything. There is no one suppressor that does everything. So within a specific niche, in a specific field, there are certain guns or suppressors or ammo or whatever that do very well in that one specific field, but then in other fields, they don't do good at all, right? So a lot of people will look at all that and want to get something that works for everything. It just doesn't work, right? What I'm looking for is for the people that found the niche. You got one of these cans and you found the niche. What was that niche? What was that thing for you that the Ghost could do that other suppressors couldn't do? That's the words that I've been looking for. I've been trying to figure out how to put that into words for a while, and that's finally, I think I finally said it. I think it finally came out. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. If you want to support this channel, right? If you enjoy the things that I do, the videos that I do, even though I apologize profusely for just carrying on sometimes, and the rabbit trails around here are so rampant, it's ridiculous, and I apologize up front for that, but it is what it is, all right? That's what my grandma would say. It is what it is. If you do want to support the channel, Patreon is the absolute best way to do that. That's just a direct way to fund the stuff that we do here. I try to give you an extra video a week, kind of a current what's up Monday is what I call the videos. Current, like what is actually going on. What do we have coming in? What are we planning on doing? I'll do early releases and stuff and things, and a couple extra projects and things that I've done over there for them. I just try to keep it a little bit more casual over there and give you more information, right? Don't try to hide things from you over there. If you want to get something back for your money a little bit more, we do have hats and merch, you know, shirts and whatnot and stuff. Not the shirt. This is from We the People, and then this hat's from another company. But we do have hats and shirts and things and underwear and socks and stuff from Teespring if you're interested in that. That link's down below. And any other platform that I might be on, whether it be Instagram, Rumble. I think technically I'm on Facebook, but I don't really post anything over there. I feel like there's another one. Gunstreamer, right? Those links are all down below if you want to go check those things out, all right? That is it. Y'all be good to be safe, and hopefully we'll catch you guys in the review coming up here, hopefully not too long. Catch you later.